What's good, everybody? I'm the G with a Ph.D. And you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla Channel, the place where black men can freely express themselves. Straight up, no chaser. All right, I think we live here, bro.
Yeah, we are. What's up, homie?
What's good with you, man?
I'm alive, so I'm good.
Okay, so what I want to do is I want to introduce you first and let these people know who you are.
All right.
All right, so today I have here with me a man by the name of Travis Harris. He is a PhD, and he's the director of political education for the International Black Freedom Alliance. And he's also the editor-in-chief of the Journal of Hip Hop Studies, which is, he works at the University of the Virginia Commonwealth, University of Virginia Commonwealth.
Well, you know, all that crazy stuff going on, so.
Well, whatever, man.
Yeah, that's good. University of Virginia Commonwealth, whatever.
He's actively involved in the Black liberation movement and does not separate his freedom work from his academic work. So basically, Travis studies Black people. His research examines the multiple dimensions of the African diasporas with a specific focus on race, religion, and hip hop. As an interdisciplinary scholar, he analyzes these phenomena across the complex layers of Black life. He teaches an array of courses that cover many aspects of diasporic life. He's also published books, and one book I know in particular is Christianity and Hip Hop, Beyond Christianity and Hip Hop.
Yeah.
He's also published several journal articles and chapters in edited volumes on Black life. So I want to introduce y'all to brother Travis Harris, the Hood Scholar.
Yeah, what's up, what's up, what's up?
So for the most part, what I want to start off with is a little bit of an understanding about what your major research projects are. Like what is it that you actually study in terms of area of specialization? What is it that you study?
Yeah, so like I try to summarize by saying Black life.
Okay.
But like, so I think probably the best way to tackle this is to look at my past and present research projects. So like I've already published, I've published in history, anthropology, education, religion, and hip hop. and I'm currently working on a co-edited collection, tentatively titled, well, the working title is a transdisciplinary analysis of Black men. And I'm working on that joint with Ocean Gasson.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm working on that. I'm writing. I'm like, while I'm quarantined, I'm writing this book on which you know how we do. Like after our dissertation, you turn your dissertation into a book.
Right.
So I'm doing it the non-academic route when I'm actually trying to write a trade book about Magruder, which was a predominantly Black community that was wiped out during World War II.
Okay.
So this is a part of, I'm working on this, it's called the Magruder Project. And what I'm doing with this is I'm actually about to start the Magruder Foundation, where all the money that I can raise from that goes back to that community. Because one of the problems was when the Navy, did I ever tell you this story before?
You have not.
So what happened was, I just do a very brief history lesson. During World War II, what they did is they created these quote unquote highways. And the crazy thing is, I got to shout out this scholar. He found out that they followed, the U.S. military followed the same exact travel routes that the European colonists followed whenever they came to colonize in what becomes the United States of America.
Okay.
So what happened was, basically everywhere where they built a military installation or something. So you know about the atomic bombs, like whenever they built the atomic bombs, whenever they built like both like Navy bases, Army bases, etc., where there were actually Black and brown communities living in those locations. So they came in, said, y'all got to go. Some people got as short of a notice as 3 weeks saying, you got to get out your house. Other times they came with literal like bulldozers saying, y'all got to leave. Dispossess all these people and then built up these installations, etc. So this happened actually here in Williamsburg in Magruder. And so I actually worked with that community. And that's why I started the Magruder Project out of. Well, when they did this, right, a lot of things happened. First, you just imagine you being in your house. Next thing you know, you see bulldozers in the yard.
Mm.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And you know they did this. Like I said, they did this to Black and brown people. They didn't do this to the white communities. And my dissertation goes through all this. They literally surveyed the area and chose where were they going to go in to dispossess these people. So they literally chose the places where the Black community was to take them out. So this is 1942, only 60 years after the Civil War. So you think about it, these Black families were literally just starting over.
Mm.
So and it is mixed though, right? Because there were some free Black families. So that's another thing that my dissertation reveals. There's free Black community that was going on, right? So
Right.
you got a free Black community, and then you had a formerly enslaved Black community who, for the first time, were finally owning homes, owning land, and building. And
Right.
then, bam, out of nowhere, y'all got to go. And then, so after that, right, after they took their homes, they were supposed to be compensated by the government for their land and their homes. Well, after all of that, some of the people never even got their money.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, you know how we get dispossessed, disenfranchised, bamboozled, led astray, ran them up.
All of that. So I found out about this while I was doing my dissertation. I was like, you know what? This ain't right, and I got to do something about it. So I started the Magruder Project, and we got 3 goals: get them their money. That's funny, right? Because the first thing I said when I started interviewing people, they said, "What you gonna do? You gonna give me my money?" Because they basically like, if you're not giving me my money, then I don't want to talk to you. So we're trying to get them their money. The other 2 goals is to tell the story, because a lot of people don't know this story, which I'm saying this is a part of American exceptionalism, right? How the United States intentionally cover up these stories. Like, we know about World War II. We know how it's supposed to be a fight against Hitler and fascism and racism, but we don't know about how the United States literally dispossessed all these Black and brown people around the world. And then thirdly, a lot of their cemeteries, their memorials were basically desecrated, and they didn't even take care of them. The churches was burnt. The churches were left to deteriorate. We need to rectify this situation. So I'm working on that. And I'm co-authoring a book that looks at hip hop and religion.
Okay. You know, it's odd though, because I came into contact with you anonymously because I submitted an article a long time ago to your journal. And
Yeah.
it was accepted with revisions. He's like, wait a minute, hold on, man. You know, hip hop started in the Bronx, man. You got to talk about the Bronx. But
right.
So tell us.
And I'm saying that that's a manifestation. I'm saying the elements of hip hop actually started in Africa. So it's an African diasporic phenomenon.
For sure.
Yeah.
So one thing before I get started and get deeper into what we're doing here, I just want to shout out a few people. Roguish the Beat Blogger, I want to shout you out. Unreasonable Man, I see you. TNR, Eric Prince, TRN, Ryan Glenn.
Jutman, what's up, yo?
Los,
I can see him.
Los the Great, LSN.
Yeah.
Rutland Capital. I see all y'all. I'm just you know, trying to give y'all some shouts out.
Salute, unreasonable man.
Yeah, some shouts out to y'all. So
Nah, matter his diasporic. I'll go all day on that.
right, but one of the things though that you call yourself is the hood scholar. Now, explain to me, that's a very odd name to walk around with in these white spaces. And you know these white spaces are treacherous to us nowadays. And for us nowadays. So explain to me why it is that you would have the audacity to regard yourself openly and ostentatiously as the hood scholar.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna be me, yo. And actually, I can tell you, when I first got into grad school, I was like trying to figure things out. And it was like I noticed that I had the option to like, you know, be the like you know how you see these dudes in the academy wearing the khakis and the collar shirt. And I was like, I can't do that, yo. Like, it's not me. And so I was, and that's why I had in my and when you read in my bio, I don't separate my basically my scholarly work from my real work on the ground, because like I'm gonna be me all day, every day. And who I am, like I'm actually from the hood. And I actually lived that life. Like I actually been in the mud. I actually ran from dogs. I actually had roaches, and I actually like came from that, right?
Right.
And now I got a PhD. So it's like I'm actually from the hood and I have a PhD. So I'm hood scholar.
Okay. Yeah, you know, you and I have kind of like similar backgrounds.
Yeah.
You know, when I first went to graduate school, I couldn't feel those people, man. I'm just being honest. Like, I couldn't feel them. And so I kind of rejected them. I didn't hang out with them. I didn't form friendships or relationships with them at all, other than like at a arm's distance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was like the Heisman Trophy. I'm giving you the stiff arm.
Yeah.
And then I really didn't see any Black graduate students in my journey, definitely not in my discipline.
Right.
You know, because I have a PhD in philosophy, so there's not a lot of Black philosophers, period, at all anyway. So I don't know, man, just navigating those spaces, man. You know, I remember one time teaching a undergraduate class, and you remember these old school shirts called Players University, man? Do you remember those? Do you remember?
Yeah.
So I'm teaching the class with the Players University shirt on, and then like some Becky or some Karen, right? She sends a memo to the chairperson of the department, just basically accusing me, you know, like of being a drug dealer because I got this.
What? You've been watching too much MTV, Becky.
Right, but she wasn't lying though, you know what I'm saying? Because I was dealing dope. But I mean, the whole point though is, how can you insinuate what I'm doing in virtue of the fact that, you know, I'm wearing
your clothes? I remember like the School of the Hard Knocks shirts.
Yeah, I had a few of them.
Yeah.
I had a few of those. So, and another thing that I want to get into, which is really the crux of why, you know, I had you come to the show, and thank you so much for blessing me with you here. I want to know what your connection to activism is, because as I understand it, you were not only just recently on the front lines in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Minneapolis, right? I mean, you just came back from a trip.
Right.
But you also were at the site where all of this first kicked off. My town.
Yeah.
You know, St. Louis, and you know, in the suburb of Ferguson. You know, I'm not from Ferguson. I'm from like the city part of St. Louis.
Yeah.
It's more decadent and decrepit in terms of its appearance. It's just more dilapidated where I'm from. Yeah. But I will say, you know, the police really don't bother people in the city as much as they do in the county, because the county is like where they got all those white police, and the municipalities at the time drew in a lot of revenue by fleecing the public through harassment and, traffic citations.
Right.
Which would then lead to people, if they didn't pay those traffic violations in a timely manner or appear in court, they would turn into bench warrants.
And you can get a different citation in different municipalities.
Right. So you can actually, so this is the last, I got a partner, right? I won't say his name, but he had an argument with his girlfriend in the mall in St. Charles, Missouri. They took him from St. Charles to Clayton, which is like the central hub where they lock people up for the county in general. But so they took him to Ladue. Then he had a bench warrant in Normandy. Then he had a bench warrant in Pine Lawn. Then he had a bench warrant in Belle North. So he had to go through all of that.
That's crazy.
He had to ping pong from municipality to municipality to municipality. And he was asking me for cash, and at the time I didn't have it to give it to him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I still hadn't graduated from my program or anything. I'm still a student. So, but it's a hell of a thing, man. So tell me, what prompted you? What made you see that it was a need for you? Because you're not from Missouri. Like, what brought you all the way from where you were to Ferguson, Missouri?
Yeah, man. First, shout out to my mom, yo. So my mom, when I was 6 years old, and we were doing community cookouts, reaching out to people, food drives, stuff like that. So I gotta say that, like, I pretty much was raised with this, right?
Right.
So that by the time I was a teenager, we were going into detention centers and working with other young men who were locked up. And I was only a teenager, right? So I don't know what she was able to do, because you're supposed to be like older than the teens to be able to go in there. Right. So some kind of way she was able to get us in. And she also started this nonprofit organization called Youth Outreach Services, and it worked with at-risk teens. So like, I grew up in the hood, so I personally experienced it. And we were working with people who were like facing charges. So like, that was me as a child and as a teenager. So pretty much I've always been in it, one way or another. And then what happened, right? I went to college, and in college, right, I was able to develop and articulate a language to explain both my personal experiences and what we were doing. So like and this is why, like, there is the possibility of like Black studies, Africana studies being revolutionary. But you gotta, for some reason, right, while I was in college, I went to UVA for undergrad. For some reason, we had this whole gang of Black professors. And like all these professors aren't even there no more. But so I was reading like Stokely Carmichael, Amiri Baraka, Du Bois, Carter G. Woodson, all of them cats.
Wow.
Right, bruh? This is crazy, right? Wow. So I mean, it was just like this confluence. So I had the personal experience, the practice, and then I was getting the literature in college. So little, like, I didn't know this, but I basically was going through this like revolutionary process. So by the time I went to seminary, I went to HBCU for seminary, and I went to Virginia Union, STVU, and unlike it was like the exact opposite of what we would call the white man's religion. So instead of reading instead of getting into these obtuse and esoteric theological debates, we're looking at, like, for example, when we talked about systematic theology, we're thinking about like liberation theology, and we're thinking about how in the world, we're thinking about like we're talking about God being a Negro, right? God being black, and him freeing oppressed people. And then when I got into my PhD program, so all that leads to, and during this time, I'm still doing work, right? I eventually become the vice president of this organization, where we're helping people on a systemic level now, right? Because that's the dope part, right? I've been able to do work both on a very like one-on-one individual level and systemic level, where we were helping people with I can't remember what it was now, but so after that, so fast forward, when we get to grad school, when I get to grad school, 2014 was my first year of grad school, and that's when Mike Brown died.
Yeah.
So when that happened, right, I was following, just like everybody else, following everything online.
Right, right.
And that joint hit me, bro. Because like a couple of things. Well, this is after Trayvon Martin. And like, you remember, and so you know I'm a little bit older. So I already knew, unlike this generation, like I knew about Rodney King and
Right.
the other killings, right?
Right.
So I had some sense of knowledge of the other killings. Of course, growing up in the hood, F12, we couldn't stand the police, right? And then this happened with Mike Brown. And so for me, that was really like this, all that stuff that I was explaining, it came to, I guess, to a culmination point where I was like, yo, this is effed up and something needs to happen. And I was like, and so following from a distance, they have this Ferguson October. Do you remember that?
I don't remember Ferguson October, no.
Okay, Ferguson October basically said, everybody come to Ground Zero, come to Ferguson. Well, it just so happened that Ferguson October was the same exact week as fall break. So I didn't have class that Monday and Tuesday.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? Crazy! I can't believe I did this. And this is how turned up I was. I'm living it. I'm in grad school at College of William & Mary. I literally jump in my car and drive to Ferguson.
Right.
Bro, this is like a 15-hour drive.
Yeah, that's a long drive, bro. You know, like,
but I was like, yo, I gotta do it because like, and what I expected is what it was. When I got there, right, what was going on in Ferguson was completely different from what Fox News was saying, CNN, the Facebook arguments, all that. Like being there, I gotta say that, like, really, yo, like, y'all had an energy there that I had never experienced in my life. So think about this, right? Listen to what I'm saying. I had did all that work already. I did all that work, read all those books, all that. But when I hit Ferguson,
right.
they was on like this, let me put it like this. When I was there, since it was Ferguson October, there was like all these celebrities. Like this is when like Cornel West was there. So like, you know, there was all these popular people there. 2014, this is where, you know, like iPhones and smartphones are real popular. So, you know, we was doing the whole thing. You take pictures, you pose or whatever.
Right.
None of that was going on. None of that. Like people were angry. People were upset. They was like, we're tired of this oppression. We're tired of the police killing us. And this is going to stop. And we're going to do whatever it takes for this to stop.
Let me tell you something, bro.
Yeah.
Now, I'm from St. Louis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a lot of I got a lot of friends. Like I used to date this girl that lives on the street that Mike Brown got killed on. You know what I'm saying? Canfield Apartments, man. I used to be up in that joint every day. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and so it just kind of shocked me to see it. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
But what I do know is just by being a resident of the city of St. Louis that I knew something was going to happen, man. At some point, like you could feel the tension in the air, and and let me just tell you something. This was what I wrote my dissertation on.
Oh,
yeah, not on Ferguson, like when it happened. Like I was writing on Ferguson before it happened.
Oh, I got you.
But not specifically about Ferguson, but about black politics in general.
Yeah.
So the name of my dissertation is called NeoSoul Politics.
Mm.
And so, because I mean, a couple of scholars have been throwing around the term post-soul and how even in the hip hop circles you hear about this idea of post-soul. And I'm like, I don't buy that idea of post-soul.
Right.
What I said is we need to have neo-soul. And then another comment, well, not comment, but another topic that I was discussing was the way democracy looks for Black people. It doesn't look like voting for us.
Right.
It doesn't look like electoral politics for us.
Right.
What democracy looks like for us is the Deacons of Defense, the Black Panther Party, Martin Luther King Jr., SNCC, the Southern, the SLCC. Like, that's what it looks like for us.
Negroes with guns.
So, my whole thing was we need to recapture that kind of soul that those people at that time had, the will to fight. The will to push back against the forces that be. And at some period of time, I just knew something, it's a powder keg waiting to happen. And my whole thing was, so I went out there before all of the press and all them people came out there and did my protesting, but when it started to get all televised, when it started to get, all press orientated, and then people, because first, I know for a fact, the first thing people was yelling in St. Louis was hands up, don't shoot.
Right.
Hands up, don't
shoot.
Hands up,
don't shoot.
Hands up,
don't shoot.
That's how it was in the beginning. But then slowly but surely, the chant became Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. And look, we got to talk about Black Lives Matter, man.
We got to talk about it. D. Seals said, did you know D. Seals?
I didn't know Darren Seals personally, but I know 100 dudes just like him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, the average guy from St. Louis, man, is like everywhere we go, people like, damn, y'all got some attitudes. You know what I'm saying? Y'all hot.
Yeah, bro, because y'all pissed off. Like, so that's the thing. I ended up doing my master's thesis on St. Louis. And when you look at the conditions, yo, man, like y'all air quality is like one of the lowest in the nations.
Yeah, man. St. Louis, man, is okay. So you already know if you've done research on St. Louis, it was these big projects downtown.
Pruitt, I do.
And the Blue Mars, right? So they tore those projects.
Blew them up. After and let's tell the truth, because this is part of my dissertation research, right? They created the projects. Think about it, it's called a project. They didn't maintain them, and then they blame the residents. Yeah, that's that bullshit, man. Always. That's fucked up, yo.
Yeah.
And then all those people got dispossessed, and it's like, oh, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? So some of them end up going to Ferguson.
Some of them end up going to the Ferguson. So it's North County is what we call it, right?
Gotcha.
So they went further. So they came into the city. Now, where I live, well, I don't live in St. Louis anymore, but I still own a home on like one of the most prominent blocks in the city. But it's near a park called Fairground Park. So all them people that were dispossessed and had to matriculate out of them projects, they start going north and further north, and then the white people start going further and further north. But white people don't retreat all the way.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you what they do. They leave their sentries and they guards and they police and they mayors. They didn't just leave. They left the neighborhood, but they didn't leave the infrastructure.
The infrastructure.
They didn't leave that, bro.
Yeah.
So now what you have is a group of people who feel like a group of jungle bunnies, whatever you want to call us, like whatever derogatory you want to call us. They came into that joint. Man. And basically, these white folks, man, are like, hold on. They got this nostalgia for these areas. They're mad that they were kind of like forced out, but they weren't forced out. They left to their own free will.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the undesirable population coming in, So they of course they consider us to be niggers.
Right.
Let's just keep it real. The property value gonna go down. The quality of living to them is gonna go down. So, but the main piece to take away from it though is they never left in terms of the infrastructure and the government.
Right.
We should have been able to handle that ourselves.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All that tension, you would have never had it. But I really actually thank God for that tension though, because that tension created this current movement.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But
yeah.
I'm afraid though, in relation to this current movement, that it's not as it should be.
I'm not though.
I'm this movement, man. Like I'm not happy with this Black Lives Matter movement, man.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with it because, in my viewpoint, it's a bait and switch.
Mm.
You got black men dying, and then you got everybody else cashing in on black men dying, and no help is being given to black men.
Mm.
Because that's the demographic that's dying.
Right.
I mean, we got black women dying also. That's terrible. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like every year, it's about 250 black men dying because of police brutality.
Minimum.
250, whereas it oscillates somewhere between 6 and 10 as it relates to black women. But as soon as there's a conversation that pops up about black men, then the argument becomes, well, you're trying to erase us. You're not giving us the proper attention. Why is nobody being outraged over our deaths?
Yeah.
So, you know what? Some guy, man, wrote a post on Twitter, and it was funny to me because I think it kind of captures how I feel about this.
All right.
It was that Black Lives Matter or intersectional feminism is the all lives matter of black men.
I got it. That joint just hit me. I don't know if you saw my facial expression, but I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's like, so I mean, it's like saying, okay, it's like, think about that shit though, man.
It's the all lives matter of black men.
All lives matter of black men.
Oh, joints.
That's crazy as hell to me, but it's exactly true.
That's crazy.
Because it's like saying, okay, well, we know your lives matter, but our lives matter too. It's the same shit, bro. Like,
oh man,
like what's the difference, man?
Yeah.
And they would be highly offended if the same thing was said. Like if you say Black Lives Matter and someone says all lives matter, everyone is deeply offended.
Yeah.
But if you say black men's lives matter, then what do you have? You have a whole group of motherfuckers from all over the place. You get people from the queer community. They jump and chime in and have something to say. And then you got like black feminists. They jump in and they have something to say. And I don't want to take away from these groups of people, man. Like, I believe they should have a platform. They should be able to articulate their interest in the public sphere. They should. But the only thing I have a problem with is that you feel like you can't have any focus whatsoever without hovering around what the fuck is happening with black men.
Yeah.
And then you force us out of the conversation because of your ideal that we're already dominating and we're oppressive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like what's good? Like, I don't get that, man.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? So
yeah, I see what you're saying.
What's your feelings about that, bro?
Bro, so I'm trying to figure out what to say because I know some inside stuff that I don't want to get into. But first, let's go back to what you was
I gotta hold you accountable for that statement, bro.
Huh?
you know something, but you don't want to say it, I'm gonna hold your ass to it, man. What you talking?
Yeah, we can talk offline.
Okay, man.
But
let me just let you know this. So there are a lot of men who are upset about that. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of black men are upset about this because it's like they perceive it as clout chasing. So a lot of times, what black men will do is they'll start saying things like, "Well, fuck them then," you know.
Yeah.
You know, like if that's how they're gonna behave, that's how they're gonna act. They're not gonna be reciprocitous in terms of like actually caring, because it seems like you don't care. Like if the first thing that happens is a group of men are dead, black men are dead.
First thing you say is, what about black women?
What about me? What about us? And then, but not only that, bro. Let me tell you how deep it's worse though. Because not only are they saying that, they're saying that you are the white people or black people.
Yeah, bro. That joint pisses me off.
That's hey man, like I can get you saying like we don't have enough attention, like you also need to focus on us, but then to turn around
to compare us to white people.
Oh man, that shit right there, man. It's like, man, that's
that joint hurt, yo. So let me. I mean, I'm not bad to throw off, but let me say it this way, right? So let's go back to what we first talking about with Black Lives Matter. Part of it is exactly like you already brought up about the clout chasing, the caping and the capping, yo. Like that. There's no other way of saying this, but it's fucked up. So let's think about what happened on the ground, right? So I'll start from small and build up. So some people actually went outside, right?
Right.
Stood in front of the police, got tear gas, got shot by rubber bullets. I don't know if you knew this or not, but in Ferguson, they were shooting real bullets, not just rubber.
Of course.
Yeah. Dodged real bullets. And then we get to D-Seals, Bossum, who I knew on Facebook, and a couple of other people who actually died for this shit. Right? So they actually died, but the speaking engagements, the contributions, the funds, the post, the tweet, all that goes to Black Lives Matter. That's why I fucking have a problem. Because what I do know, and unless somebody got, from what I hear, what I do know that they were not at the same level of engagement as those people that we just talked about, right?
Right.
So if you're not actually at that level of engagement, you're talking about erasure, right? So D-Seals has literally been erased. Like he's no longer living. And every time I think about him, I actually get like it hurts. Because I'm like, what did he do other than not care about black lives, right? And care about black people. So he gives his life for this. And you go out and now get speaking engagements, and everybody's out here is glorifying, elevating this movement.
Right.
So yes, I do have a problem with that. But let me be clear, and so because I'm angry about it, but let me clearly articulate it. My problem is that the people on the ground who literally suffered, struggled, and died for this are not being recognized, while people who did not go through that are being recognized and literally and physically profiting off of that. So to sum it all up, my problem is with Black Lives Matter profiting off the pain of people from Ferguson.
Right. So
to get to your point about this, this like people like women and others feeling erased and stuff, right? First of all, I was thinking about it like, look is actually a pretty sad commentary on where we are as a community. And so listen to what we're talking about, right? We are talking about the outrage to someone being killed. So literally, and like you probably saw the I think it was the Brittany Cooper tweet or something like that, that is like, we don't have the same outrage for Breonna Taylor that we do for George Floyd.
Right.
My thing is this: Why in the world is the focus on the outrage? How about we focus on people being killed?
Right.
Like
Right.
black men, black women, black queer folks, black trans folks are literally being killed. And what you want to focus on is the outrage? So the response to the killing? So instead of focus on the actual killing, we focus on the outrage?
Right.
That's my problem, right? So I'm saying like our whole conversation, this whole thing is jacked up because our focus is off. I want to stop being killed. Like I don't want you to say, oh, and this is what actually what you said was lit, bro. Like you nailed it. Imagine being told that your murder is a privilege.
Yeah, man. I did, man, let me tell you how weird this shit gets, man. Like, okay, so when I was, like doing my trench work, as a graduate student, I didn't know there was a whole bunch of black philosophers, man. I didn't know it was a community of people who were already in a circle, such that they were networking with one another and making strides towards, getting jobs, and then not only just securing jobs, but like working their way through the system. So then I came into contact with this brother who was doing a talk at Washington University. I mean, this dude is a Harvard bigwig, you know what I'm saying? Named Tommy, not Curry, but Tommy Shelby. And at the time,
I heard of him before.
He was like a bigwig, right? So he's publishing all these books and shit. And so he basically was like, look, I'm going to get you into contact with some people who moderate this site on Facebook, like this page on Facebook, so you can get in the loop, because it's a lot of us out here, not a whole lot, but it's enough of us to have a community.
Yeah.
So you know how these things work, man. So right now, everything is about intersectionality. So you got all kind of motherfuckers besides black people. It's supposed to be about black folks, but you got other people besides black folks in the group. So, and not to take away from it, I think it's still a good thing, you know what I'm saying, to have people, because I'm not trying to be politically aligned with any of these people like all the way hard down the line, because that's just unnecessary. You're never going to get 100% consensus with any group of people. Even your own family, you're going to have disagreements. Shit, you're going to have disagreements with yourself from day to day.
Right.
So, but anyway, man, I was on Facebook and this person was part of this group, and I put up a post. And at the time, I'm not thinking about intersectional politics, none of that shit. So I said, Caitlyn Jenner is a beautiful woman, but Serena Williams is an ugly man.
Wow.
So at the time, like Caitlyn Jenner had just won this shit, like she just won some award about being the bravest human being for magazine or something like that. And people was talking about how beautiful she was. But then I would look at tweets and look at like the press on Serena, Serena, and they'd be like, she's ugly, she's too big.
Right.
Like, whose aesthetic are you using? Because I'm thinking like, Serena think is a dog, you know what I'm saying? Like she that's just how she is. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how black men see it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So anyway, here comes this white trans person that says I was being transphobic. The statement was, like transphobic. I'm like, well, I mean, shit, I don't know why the fuck you saying it's transphobic, but I mean, like the whole point is, I'm just making a statement. And the statement is true. And this motherfucker started talking about black male privilege. It's the first time I ever heard the shit in my life. The idea of black male privilege. And dude, I was like, so what you mean? The privilege to go to prison? Because I've been there. I said, what, the privilege to get shot? I ain't gonna say I've been shot, but I've been smacked in my face with a pistol.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I lost one of my teeth over that shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then my friend did shoot the guy who hit me with the pistol. I mean, people don't understand, man, how dangerous black male life is.
They don't.
You don't understand. Like if you're not from that area, you don't like these places. And a lot of these black people are not from these places, man. Just in academia at these levels, they not from the hood, bro.
They not, no, they don't. That's why I call myself hood scholar.
So them not knowing or being able to identify with what's going on there, they feel like they can just say anything, or like they feel like their existence is the only existence. Like I put up a post on Facebook not too long ago that said like what 50 Cent said. Like white people and even some black people, they only experience the hood through hip hop, TV, the movies, you know, or like some other media, you know, like, and like it's like they get to experience that vicariously through those medias, but it's like you're getting close to the safari, but you don't never come into contact with the animals.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
So to hear that, like I'm privileged. Now this is a person that used to be a man, now is a woman, is a white person, and now is winning world like events and like world events for cycling. But I got privilege. To me, ain't nothing signals privilege more than you being able to say, okay, I'm part of a group of people who are the most savage group of people demographically in the history of the world. But I can turn myself into a woman. And then not only that, I can excel at being a woman, and I get to talk bad to one of the most oppressed demographics in the world.
Yeah.
Tell them they're privileged. That's crazy as a motherfucker to me, bro.
It is.
But we supposed to be silent about this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I came into contact, because Curry was already my friend on Facebook. And, that's how I became friends with Dr. Hassan. Because I was like, I don't understand this idea of black male privilege. Like, I don't get that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just, I don't understand it. Give me 1 second, though. I think I might need to refresh my browser here, just to make sure everything is going like it should.
We back?
I'm back, man. I'm sorry about that. Like, I'm new to this. So, hey, listeners out there, I apologize. I just want to give a shout out to Beezy. What's up, Chris? How you doing there, bro?
Hey, Chris.
Yeah, what's good with you, bro? Roguish the Billmonger, what's up, man? I'm just making sure I'm shouting out everybody again.
Yeah.
Hey, please support the channel if you can. I'm the G with a Ph.D. That's my cash app. If you can support your brother, I sure ain't gonna hate on you. You know what I'm saying? Back to regularly scheduled programming. Some people I think were telling me that I need to refresh the browser. I don't know.
Yeah, I got you.
Let me know. Is that something that I need to do from time to time? If not, if everything was good in the stream, I'll keep it that way. Yeah. So, but anyway, man, give me some insight on what was going on the ground in Minnesota, man. Let me know what was going on there.
Bro, yeah. So it was kind of dope because it was like I was back in Ferguson again. Right. So that same energy was there. And what I realized was, so first of all, like, I don't know, I had to retweet it, but somebody was like, Minneapolis is that quiet person who has hands.
Right.
You don't know about them. They seem kind of sleepy, but they really about that life.
Right.
So, yo, like they really turned up out there, right? And so like that energy was there. Like they was just like, and I try to be like careful about my language, but they were just like, fuck everything.
Right.
Like literally nothing could stop them. They were all the way up. You know that, John?
Yeah.
All the way, yo, bro, like on every single level. So first, like the dude who when I hit the ground, he picked me up from the airport. He was like, this is what it is. This is what we're going to do. And bro, and this was literally, listen to this. We literally just got in the car from the airport and we're driving into town.
Right.
And that's how turned up they were. It was like, I'm tired of these people saying this shit. They don't have no idea what's going on. And I was like, yo, let's go.
Right.
So then because of that, I got one turned up, right? So get on the ground. He picked me up. So first thing I found out is that So we was already basically quarantined because of COVID, and a lot of stores had closed because of that. Well, I actually got there only 2 or 3 days after the killing. So because of that, a lot of the stores had closed too. So between COVID and the uprising, a lot of stores was closed, and pretty much the city was shutting down early. So there was a lot of people we care mostly about Black people. There was a lot of Black people who couldn't get access to their essential needs. So the first thing I found out was the struggle was real, right?
Right.
And when I found out the struggle was real, because both that was going on, and then the biggest takeaway from me from that whole experience, and it's what he said in the car. He said this is bigger than George Floyd.
Right.
So let me talk about that, right? So the whole city was shut down. People weren't getting their just essential needs. What we found out though was, right, these people, now listen to this. And this is why I did the I don't know if you saw my live yesterday, I had to do a short victory. But in this one story, maybe she should become my poster child. It was a single mother with a 1-year-old child.
Right.
Listen to what she needed: diapers, toilet paper, baby wipes. We talking about essential needs.
Right.
What this sound like? Us being back in the hood, right?
Right.
It's like they didn't even have the essentials. And what we was finding out was that because it was beautiful to see, like the supply drives that we was doing, more people was actually getting more access to things that they didn't have before COVID and before the uprising.
Right.
Which shows you how much they were struggling. And then to bring it all together, since I grew up in the hood, I visited St. Louis. I know people in St. Louis. I know people in other places. And talking to them in Minneapolis, it became very evident. We all dealing with the same old shit.
Right. Yeah.
And so you think about it, right? And this is the other part. And I'm bringing a lot of these conversations full circle back together. This is the other reason why George Floyd was different. It wasn't just particularly because he was a Black man. It was also because, right, George Floyd happened after everything else. So think about all that happened in Ferguson, right? All that happened in Baltimore with Freddie Gray. All that happened with Sandra Bland, which goes against their argument, right? Because everybody was turned up for Sandra Bland. And then even recently, all that happened with Ahmaud Arbery. All that happened with Breonna Taylor, with Cooper, and all of those struggles from being poor, homeless, and not even having your essential needs met, all came together and culminated in Minneapolis with George Floyd's death. Plus, you got a 9-minute video, right? So that was like, you thinking about Ferguson, right? Just think about Ferguson, but 6 years later with all those other factors. So when I got there like pretty early, because I got there on May the 29th. So that was exactly 40. And everybody found out about it on what? Either the 26th or the 27th. So I got there only like 2 days after we all found out about it, 2 or 3 days after we found out about it. So, and this was before, so I also got there before they did the curfew and all that. So we get there, we delivering the supplies. That's dope because there are people who are already in need, getting more access to their needs. And then we go out, and I'm actually, where you saw, you posted a picture, I actually was out there on the front lines. Yo, the energy was like, it was actually, somebody from Ferguson actually came. They said that there was actually more turned up in Minneapolis than they were in Ferguson.
Yeah, I bet they was, man. I mean, like, people tired of this bullshit, man.
Right. So just imagine, bro, this is how crazy the energy was. There were literally thousands of people protesting. So, like, for example, I will be with one group in one location. We probably got 500 to 1,000 people. there'll be another group in a whole nother part of the city, and they also turn it up. And then another group in another part of the city, and they also turn it up. So one night, right? Let me tell you this story. We go out there, we're protesting, and we eventually come, we come down the main road. I eventually meet somebody, right? And I was talking to them, and they actually had a completely different experience than I did, although we all overlapped on the same road. So
Right.
like it was like University Avenue, Lake Street, and somewhere else, right? And like, so they was literally with a different group of 500 to 1,000 people. So the picture I'm trying to paint is like 500 to 1,000 people all over the city saying, no justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no, everywhere. Say his name, George Floyd. Say his name, George Floyd. And then look, bro. And so what happened was, right, as the protests go on, eventually they say, you know what? We need to have a curfew. So then they start this curfew, right? They, like I said, they was so turned up. They was like, fuck your curfew.
Yeah, right.
Bruh, they were just like, and think about it. So think about what they ended up doing. And remember, and this is how crazy they were, right? And how turned up it was. This is the same time that Donald Trump tweets, when they start looting, y'all start shooting.
Wow.
So they got the president of the United States against them. They got the National Guard out there. They got police officers literally from all over the state of Minnesota, all in that one area. And they were just like, fuck your curfew, fuck the police, fuck Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's nice though, man. I mean, you know,
It is, bro. And that's why we got the changes that we have today. That's why those 4 officers got locked up, because they said, look, we are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and this is going to change right now.
So, okay, here's the next thing. And then, you know, I don't want to hold you all day.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, you know, the listeners, you know, they getting tired. Y'all getting tired, y'all? Let me know, man. Hit me up on the chat, man, and let me know what y'all thinking about the broadcast thus far. So what's the next steps, man? I mean, you know, I know there's some changes that have been brought to fruition by means of the protestation, but there are some people that, you know, I mean, basically what they assert is that we don't have a plan. We just go out there and we exhaust ourselves through this emotional exchange.
Yeah.
But then power recedes. They make grant a few concessions, and then business resumes as usual. It's business as usual. Just another day where some niggas just got, you know, angry or whatever. Back to business as usual. Now I know at the present moment that the Democrats and the Republicans have decided to come together and to do something about no-knock raids. About that would be awesome though. Like, I mean,
yeah, I think they already passed that one.
But I mean,
Louisville.
But that's in Louisville though. I'm talking about nationally. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's poison, man. You know, like that's I mean, they like when the British had the Quartering Act, they didn't like, you know, British soldiers coming into their homes and their apartments with guns or muskets. You know, they didn't like that. Why do you think the average American citizen would like that? Let alone some black people who've been through 400 years of slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, mass incarceration. Why would we tolerate that? That'll be a good thing. But what about what is next on the horizon in terms of agenda? My viewpoint on it is this. Until America decides to invest in black men, all of this is just a whole bunch of smoke and mirrors. And everybody is trying to do what they can to prevent that from happening. Because the real problem is that black men have been disinvested in America. We've been marginalized. We've been cast to the side. Everybody has a plan and an agenda for themselves, except for us.
Yeah.
But I mean, just more generally speaking, though, what's next, man?
Well, shout out to your listeners because they are on it. Rogish and Beezy, like salute to y'all. Like they talking about what my mind is, right? So I was saying this the whole time that we are in a war, right? And since we're in a war, it's not about these individual battles, and there are always casualties of war. So first, I would say we got to think about how do we win the war, and then if we're at war, who are we at war with? We're at war with white supremacy. So we at war with white supremacy. So that means if we want to win the war, we need to overthrow white supremacy. And shout out to Rogish because let me look at what he said. He said it best: war separate, right? So we basically got to get to the point where we're saying that we need, and somebody else said it, policy. We need a complete, actually, let me use Martin Luther King Jr.'s words. MLK says that the system has failed. And for this to work, it needs to be born again. Let me explain that. So, of course, he was a Black Baptist preacher, right? So he's using this language to articulate and paint this picture of born again. But let me break down what he was really saying. He was saying this, that at every from every facet of America, every facet of the system that we currently live in, it has failed. From the Constitution, from the very fabric, from its beginning to where it is now, it has failed. And the only way for us to get free, and the only way for this to change, is a completely wiping out of that whole system and a brand new system. So then, right, what's next? I would say, I'm actually working on this plan right now. I literally was working on it right before we got on this call, and it looks at going in that direction. We need a whole new system, and if that whole new system don't work, and look like some of your followers already rocking with me, we need to separate. We need our own space, and we need to think about going back to Africa.
Yeah, I thought about going myself, man. I mean, you know, it's not a nice place for Black men, man, and
Nah.
it's not a nice place for Black women either, man.
It's not a nice place. It's not a nice place for any Black people, right? And let me be clear, because I don't know if I clearly articulated this earlier. These conversations we're having against each other is rooted in this very system that we're in. So the system is designed for us to fight each other and to put our differences against each other, right? If we weren't in the situation, that's what I was trying to say, instead of the who getting the most outrage whenever someone is being killed, it would be nice if we would be in a situation where Black people aren't being killed by the police.
Absolutely.
So the crucial part is, if we can get into this new world that's separate and different from white supremacy, then all these conversations and all that we're dealing with will change.
I feel you, brother. I feel you. So, any last words, man? I don't want to make this cash.
No, I got you, man, bro. Like, shout out to everybody listening. I can tell you that, and like you had in the introduction, so be on the lookout for this. I am the Director of Political Education for the International Black Freedom Alliance. And we've actually been working on a plan now for a couple of years. And so for me, so I actually went to they're actually some of the original members are out of Ferguson, right?
Right.
Original members of IBFA are out of Ferguson. That's why I went to Minneapolis with, and our plan to go to Minneapolis and our plan of being on the front lines is just a part of a bigger plan. So just to say that, look, be on the lookout. Check out the THEIBFA.org. IBF8, the International Black Freedom Alliance. Check us out. Hopefully soon we have this planned out so everybody can check it out. We can chop it up and we can get free.
All right, man. Well, I know everybody's busy. It is the summer session though for colleges and universities now. Are you teaching any classes online?
Bro, nobody want to let me teach.
That's crazy, man, because that's where you get your extra money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was trying to, but VCU was tripping though. So,
but what I'd like to do is, again, thank you, sir, for coming in and having this conversation with us. And
yeah, yo.
I appreciate it. Hopefully you can do it again sometime.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime, just hit me up.
I definitely will.
With a PhD?
Yeah, well, you know me, man. I'm just, going through a struggle right now. But life ain't not easy for us, man.
It ain't.
It's not easy for us. It's like any little thing can derail us. And once you think that you're right on the precipice, you know what I'm saying, of like living comfortably, your world could get turned upside down.
Right.
Just in a heartbeat. So it is what it is, man.
It is.
It is what it is. So there are people who are asking for you to put your info in the chat, like how they can hit you up on.
Oh yeah.
Or something like that.
How do I? Can I chat? I don't know if I can chat. Can I?
Yeah, you should be able to. You can post a comment. There's no chat. There's no something that says post a comment there.
But you know what? I'll do it on the
What is it? Just.
There you go. I got it now.
Okay. So yeah, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. This is my first time doing any kind of live cast.
Oh, this your first live?
Yeah. I've never done any live at all. I've just usually record and then leave it for the viewers.
Oh, bro, man. It looks like you gotta do this again because you got a lot of love, yo.
Yeah, man. We're gonna try to build it up, and I appreciate who all have come thus far. So I really appreciate it. Damn, NASCAR announced it's going to take down the Confederate flag. It's a lot of stuff. There are changes, but we don't need symbolic change. Like we need changes in policy that impact Black lives.
Yeah,
like I'm not talking about Black women's lives. I'm not talking about Black queer people's lives. I'm not talking about just Black men. We need an investment in Black people all the way across the board, man.
Yeah, and that's what we got, bro.
And we need to stop attacking each other, but we need to stop having like jealousy contests and like oppression Olympic contests with one another. I'm just tired of that bullshit, man. It infuriates me, man. I'm just sick of it, man. I'm sick of that, man. It's room for Blackness everywhere, man. All different kinds of expressions of Blackness or allowed, except for those that just innately hate Black people in general. We ain't got
right.
to hate Blacks. So.
Oh, you know what? It's not showing my comment whenever I post my information. Oh, there you go. Look for me on Facebook. Okay, it came up.
Okay. Well, look, y'all. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. If you like the content, please support the channel. It's G with a PhD on the Cash App. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's the Green Gorilla channel on the G with a PhD. We up out of this thing, man. Holla. Thank you, man. Thanks.